So about 5 years ago, I played Will Rogers for the very first time on this spot. This used to be where the Players Theater was. I was knocked down about a year and a half ago. But during rehearsals for the run, we faced Hurricane Irma. And Hurricane Irma came through, leaked through the roof of the theater, and destroyed the stage by warping all of the boards. And they had to replace the entire stage. And so I was the first actor to take lead on this wonderful stage, which is now gone. But I played Will Rogers for the first time. And the cool thing about it, I had just been down the road over there. You can see over there, there's a little building. That used to be the Starlight Room. And I was over there doing my show, The Cowboy Cabaret, and ran into Jeffrey Kinn, who was the artistic director here. And he told me about this Will Rogers and said I should audition. And I didn't know anything about him, really. I knew that he collected money in movie theaters, but that's about it. I knew he was a big star. And I think, some sort of cowboy dude. That's all I knew. So I go to the bar and I look him up on YouTube, and he's giving this speech he gave in 1931 on the radio. But it was being filmed, of course. And President Hoover had asked him to do it because it was after the Depression, the crash, and things were bleak. It was really bad. And so he came on and talked about how Americans pulled together in these times and how we are liberal. That's what he said back then. Now, it had a different meaning then and hadn't been as vilified and demonized like it is today. So, but his idea was that we are liberal and that we won't see someone go hungry and not help them. We're not going to let people fall by the wayside. We'll share when somebody is in need, and we'll take care of them. And we give of ourselves and of our wealth to other people. And immediately I love this guy. He said some other stuff too that made me love him as much, especially his humor. And 100 years ago, he was a star of stage, screen, radio, print. He was all over the place, and everybody knew who Will Rogers was, and everybody loved him. And he never met a man he didn't like. And so he could, because he said, I had no malice in my heart for anyone that I ever make a joke about. Any of the politicians, presidents, or anyone else, the parties. Well, the parties aren't people, but it's another story. Anyway, he never had any malice in his heart. He said, I liked each of them personally. If there was no malice in your heart, there could be none in your gags. And so all of his humor was very easy, true, very true, but it wasn't mean-spirited. And so people would laugh right along him. And if you got a dig by Will Rogers, that was a, badge of honor. And so being able to play him was amazing for me. So the next day I get in contact and I go over and I read for the part and I sing one of the songs. And the next day it was my birthday and I woke up and went out and did something. And then I got back and on my voicemail, I'd been cast as the role. So what an amazing birthday gift that was. And here 5 years later, I just played that role again on another stage in my second one-man show based on his writings. This one called Get the Bunk Out. And a few years ago, I wrote a show called Will Rogers Revived during the run of the Will Rogers Follies. So while I was playing this character, I would go home and I would work on this script, taking all the things that I'd read that I loved so much in my preparation for the role, and then, editing it all together to make a nice smooth transition and adding in little things along the way to move things along. So earlier this year, I decided to take that show, gut it a little bit, and just focus on the political humor, because I think that we need to laugh at ourselves for still being a two-party system after all we've gone through, after all we've seen, and if we're seeing right now. And because there are people who are saying, oh yes, we actually can change our election system. It's called innovation. And it's one of those things that makes humans unique among all of the species. We are able to innovate and reinvent and recreate and do what we do in better and better and better ways. So I love this idea that we're now at a point where people are actually talking about the possibility of an actual third party. Instead of here in Florida this year, think we have 11. It's like 9 or 11, one of those numbers. But those are all the third parties, all 9 of them. And that's just mathematically impossible. So I don't think we need a third party. I would love to see myself. And we have no parties. And if you want to be brave enough to go serve the public in America, then stand on your own 2 feet. No more parties anymore. No, no, no. Let's get this money out of politics. No more lobbyists. No more Citizens United. I like the way that they do it in some other countries where they have a limited budget. This is as much as you can spend on your campaign. Here you go. And have fun. And then you get out there and you work it. But the parties make us, we don't have to work it. They work us. So I love that I'm taking this idea that Will Rogers had 100 years ago. And I'm going to do this new show called Get the Bunk Out. And I'm doing this first tour by motorcycle as a trial set and as a journey to visit about almost a dozen different Will Rogers memorials around the country. And along the way, I'm going to be asking people about Will Rogers. I'm going to be asking people about America, about the Democrats and Republicans, and about the possibility for ranked choice voting or some other new methodology that will allow us to move forward with a little more grace, a little more kindness, a little more efficiency, a little more innovation. You know, all of these things are at our fingertips. I'm holding one of them right now. So we can continue to grow, we can continue to change, and I'm just very grateful that I had this opportunity at the Players before it became what it is now. And I'm very excited about this journey. I leave in just a few days, and I hope you enjoy the journey as well. And I hope this allows us all to think a little bit about who we are as a country and as a people and who we really want to be. I just added into my other show the other night, by the way. There's a little thing in the beginning where he talks about us, the U.S., and how back in his day, we were all known as citizens. Today, we're all consumers. And I think that's really got to be a conscious choice on each of our parts as to how much of each of those things do we want to be. Do we want to be more citizenly or just more consumery? Anyway, something to think about.